Today we're going to learn about the three branches of government and why they're important. Let's get started.
In this episode, we will discover the roles and powers of the legislative branch, the executive branch, and the judicial branch.
We'll also learn about checks and balances.
Once we have learned about the branches and their roles, we will then take a quiz to find out how much you learned about them. Do you like to learn about science and social studies? Would you like to know the difference between Democrats and Republicans? If so, keep watching and subscribe to our channel to discover our world in a meaningful way.
A government of the people, by the people, for the people. Lincoln had a way with words.
The first article in the United States Constitution established the legislative branch, also known as Congress. Based in the Capitol building in Washington, D.C., their main job is to make laws.
This branch has two houses, the Senate and the House.
There are 100 members in the Senate, with each state having 2 senators. Members of the Senate serve 6-year terms and represent their entire state. The second house, the House of Representatives, has 435 members, with its members representing specific districts within a state. Not every state has the same amount of congressmen in the House. For example, California has the most with 53 representatives, while 7 states only have 1. Congressmen and women serve 2-year terms and represent the interests of their district.
While some states only have 1, if California has 53.
When our founding fathers created our Constitution, big states and small states disagreed on representation in the legislative branch. So they made the Great Compromise, in which each state would have the same amount of senators in the Senate for the small states, with membership in the House depending on a state's population for the big states. Of their many responsibilities, the main job of the legislative branch is to make and vote on laws.
This is how they do it, folks. Step 1, a bill is introduced.
A bill can be introduced in either the Senate or the House of Representatives, depending on who sponsors it. But the ideas can also come from civilians like Stephen Beck, who proposed the ABLE Act, a law that created tax-free savings accounts for individuals with disabilities.
Step 2, the bill goes to a committee.
After its introduction, Congress will assign the bill to the appropriate committee, whose members will research, discuss, and make changes to the bill before presenting it to the rest of the House or Senate.
Step 3, the bill gets voted on.
For a bill to pass, it needs a simple majority of yeses, but it helps to have a higher percentage. For example, when the ABLE Act was voted on in the House of Representatives, it passed with a vote of 404 to 17.
Step 4, the bill gets sent to the other house.
If the bill passes one body of Congress, it goes to the other to go through a similar process of research, discussion, changes, and eventually voting.
Step 5, the bill gets voted on by the other house.
If both bodies vote to accept the bill, they must work out any differences between the 2 versions. Then both chambers vote again. If it passes, they present it to the president.
Step 6, send the bill to the president.
The president then considers the bill. The president can approve the bill and sign it into law or veto it, meaning that it's sent back to Congress, in which both houses will have to pass the bill with a 2/3 vote to force the president to sign it. Other powers of the legislative branch include declaring war, regulating interstate and foreign commerce, and controlling taxing and spending policies.
This is where the president is. If I was president, I would make life better for all kids.
The second article of the Constitution allows for the executive branch, which is led by the leader of the free world, the President of the United States of America. The executive branch is based in the White House in Washington, D.C., and their job is to enforce the laws.
Can the president give me a speeding ticket?
No, Professor. While he may not enforce the laws in that way, the president does enforce them by signing bills to create laws. The president gets lots of help to enforce the laws. The president has federal agencies that work for the president to help with the enforcement of laws, such as the FBI and CIA. The president also has the executive office of the president, which is headed by the chief of staff and works in the West Wing of the White House. The EOP has responsibilities from communicating the president's message to the American people to promoting our interests abroad. The press secretary provides daily briefings for the media on the president's activities. The EOP also includes the National Security Council, which advises the president on foreign policy, intelligence, and national security.
Have you ever seen the West Wing on TV? It's a story, but it could give you a good idea on what happens in the office of the president.
The president's cabinet is made up of the heads of the 15 executive departments. Appointed by the president and confirmed by the Senate, the members of the cabinet are often the president's closest confidants, especially in their areas of expertise.
There's a whole bunch of good courtroom movies. You can't handle the truth. But if you can, check this out.
The third article in the Constitution allows for a judicial branch, whose job is to interpret the laws. In life, many problems we face can be unclear, so it is the job of the judicial branch to decide what the law means in a case and how it should be used. Sometimes, they even decide a law is no good and get rid of it.
Overruled.
The United States Supreme Court is the nation's highest court in the judicial branch. Its job is to solve disagreements from lower courts. Their cases affect Americans' rights and have added to the laws of the land in many ways. The Supreme Court is made up of 9 judges, called justices. Each is picked by the president and approved by the Senate. Justices may serve for life. Some of their changes in the law include ending segregation in schools, giving criminal defendants a right to a lawyer even if they can't afford one, and advising the accused of their rights before being questioned by the police. Each of the branches can keep the other 2 in check to make sure no one person or branch becomes too powerful. Congress can approve presidential nominations to positions such as the cabinet. They control the budget and can impeach the president.
If the president doesn't like a bill, he can veto it, sending it back to Congress.
But Congress can override the veto and force the president to sign it if they pass the bill with a 2/3 vote.
The president nominates judges to the courts.
The courts in turn can declare the president's decision unconstitutional and change the law.
Courts can make laws from Congress illegal, unconstitutional.
The Senate confirms the president's nominations to the judicial branch. Congress can also impeach judges and remove them from office. Now that we have looked at the 3 branches of government and how they can check and balance each other, let's see what you have learned about the American government. Number 1. It is the job of which branch to enforce the laws? If you chose executive branch, you're correct. Number 2. For a bill to be passed into law, what has to happen? The answer to this question is all of the above. Number 3. How can the president check the power of the legislative branch? The president can veto a bill passed by both houses. Number 4. What is the main job of the judicial branch? The correct answer is C. Interpret the law. Number 5. The cabinet is part of which branch? The cabinet are the closest advisors of the President of the United States and are in the executive branch. Number 6. Which member of government's term is for 6 years? Senators serve 6-year terms. Number 7. Which member of government's term is for life? If you are appointed and passed as a Supreme Court justice, you can serve for life.
So there you have it, folks. 3 branches that give our government enough power to protect us, but not too much to take our rights away. Actually, I really don't have that many fingers. 53 fingers I never had.